Hey team, meet Skimpies, the organic cotton undie made like a liner. Skimpies are for all of us who love going commando but can't quite pull it off like we used to. You just pop Skimpies directly into your pants, press firmly, and it's like you're wearing underwear without the gnarly panty lines. No PFAs, no synthetics, no irritation. Just clean, breathable, organic cotton where you need it most. Created by Bette Bentley, inspired by her own journey as an absolute babe who wanted to live that commando life, but without the UTIs. Go to skimpies.com to get started. Every peach deserves its day, and Skimpies is here to help make it happen. Skimpies, we just want to be in your pants. Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mother Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. Hey, okay, so I know last week's episode was a hard one to listen to, and I am so thankful for the kind messages and the offers of support and love. I really, truly have felt all of it. As an update, my sweet stepdad Lloyd passed to the other side on Sunday, February 15th. His name will be a blessing, that much I know. My friends and my family who knew him best, knew our relationship best, have said that he was kind and gentle, funny and warm, that he and my mom always made everyone comfortable in their home. He was a caring guy who didn't need to be in the spotlight and was much more interested in shining light on others. I was reminded recently that it's okay to not be okay. Even though in many ways we lost him to dementia long before this, it doesn't make this loss now any less profound, any less horrible. I just keep reminding myself that grief is love with nowhere to go, and oh man, was he loved. I am trying to remind myself that I don't need to be logical right now. I don't need to perform. I just need to feel what I'm feeling, whatever that looks like. The only way out is through, so that's what I'm going to try and do. I want to keep showing up for all of you and for the wonderful guests that come on the show because these are stories worth telling. They make me laugh. They make me think. They make me marvel. And this week's guest is no exception. This conversation covered so much that I think about regularly. How to get siblings to like each other. How the idea of friendship and how we form friendships is as unique as people are. How every great enterprise needs different kinds of people to succeed in the long run. How doing something polarizing is good. It means you're not playing it safe and you're making people think. This week's guest is Lillian Tung, co-founder of Fur, a beauty and hair care brand for the whole body, first grabbing headlines with their fur oil, specifically designed for pubic hair and skin. From the brains of childhood best friends to the shelves of Ulta to talking about pubic hair on Shark Tank, this brand has taken the beauty world by storm, creating a new market segment, becoming an instant fan favorite of consumers and aestheticians the world over. Not only did Lillian indulge all of my questions about trends in pubic hair and what it's really like behind the scenes of getting on Shark Tank, but she was also a patient goddess, recording a chat with me not once, but twice after an epic technological fail. That kind of grace from a founder, a mom, and a generally very busy person says a lot about who she is, even before we pressed record for the second time. Enjoy. I am so excited to talk to you again because I selfishly was like, if we lived in the same place, I would definitely force you to be friends with me. I had such a good chat, so I'm looking forward to starting over.
Exactly. And I'll pretend like, or you'll pretend like you've never heard of my brother before.
Once you learn about Kevin, you can't unlearn about Kevin. Okay. But I'll say,
you know that I'm going to the Backstreet Boys with Kevin on Friday night in Vegas.
Are you kidding me? Okay.
We're going to watch them at the Sphere.
I tried to get tickets and it was like, by the time I went on, like I was like 200,000th in the queue or something. And it was like $2,000 a ticket. And I'm like, how much is nostalgia worth to me?
Yeah.
You're going to have the best time. Are you guys going to wear matching outfits? Like, what are we wearing to the concert?
Oh, no. I'm going with one of my best girlfriends. So we are wearing somewhat matching outfits, but apparently everyone has to go in white with hints of blue. So like we all will be wearing white with hints of blue. And I got my best friend matching sunglasses. I have no idea what my brother and his wife are doing. That would be a little creepy if I did wear a matching outfit with my brother, and we wouldn't want to share that publicly.
Well, you know how it's become a bit of a trend for people to post like JC Penney photos of like, you
Oh
know, like the
yeah, like
throwback
when they were.
photos. I feel like you guys are a good
Yeah,
candidate for that project actually.
we are. We uh we did something like that recently,
Well,
privately.
oh,
Well, we did it because we went to like this old house in Bahrain in the Middle East where like I was like 2 years old, my brother was like 6 years old, and we made my parents like recreate this picture. But anyways, like we
uh
literally did.
we might
Yeah. No, you're not
I
getting
might
that picture.
oh,
Getting that picture.
damn it. Okay. Well, I appreciate it nonetheless. But I'm excited to have you back in the virtual closet. Thank you for making the time. I mean, I feel especially bad because the life of a founder and one who is also a parent of young children, it just like it doesn't get busier in life than where you are right now. So thank you.
Oh, you're
Are you in
welcome.
Westchester right now?
No, I'm in the city, so I came into the city today
Ooh.
because I'm in the office about once a week.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you guys have a physical office in the city.
Yes, yes.
And like how big is this office? Like, is it like a bullpen situation? Does ever,
It's actually really big.
yeah.
We don't have a lot of people on the team. We have like 10 people, but it's a really big office on Fifth Avenue because half of it is a retail store slash waxing salon, and the other half is our corporate headquarters where we have our bullpen, conference rooms, product development room, lounge seating. It's really nice.
That's so
It's really nice.
cool. Oh my God, she's got
Yeah,
a
it's really
Fifth
cool.
Avenue office. Okay, so
Yes, it is.
so let's start in Westchester where it all began, and we're gonna come back to Westchester. Obviously, we never really left Westchester besides college.
Mhm.
But what I love about this story and remains such a thread for me beyond my newfound love for Kevin and like what a brother sister relationship can really look like is this friendship piece that you guys have been friends. I mean, way before you were founders, like you found each other in middle school, right?
Yeah, so Laura and I found each other the day before the first day of middle school. So back in the day, we started seventh grade in middle school, and we became friends at this orientation essentially, and did gymnastics together through middle school and high school. Then coincidentally went to college together. Coincidentally went to grad school together to get our MBAs. And then throughout that time, we were always really good friends, best friends essentially. But the funny thing about it is we didn't have like overlapping groups of friends. Like she and I were always very close, but then we would have like our other close groups of friends, and they were actually different close groups of friends all throughout the different schools. It wasn't just like in one particular case. Like we'd always have different groups of friends, but Laura and I would still remain this like commonality of being like super close with each other.
And you're very
And
different
then yeah,
people,
grad
right?
school,
Like personality wise.
extremely different, extremely different. And the funniest thing is people look at me and they're like, "Oh, Lillian's like such an extrovert. She's like really always out there talking." But actually, like I'm like the most extroverted introvert you would meet, and I'm also like really down into like these are the next three steps we have to take. We have to execute like every day. And then Laura's like the complete opposite. So like you would be like, "Oh, she's like really reserved," but actually like I don't think there's ever been a networking event she'd ever said no to or any sort of invitation. She's like always out there to like meet new people and like hear from them and loves to like sort of talk to people, but not in the loudest way. And then it's also from like a professional skill set perspective is so much less into the like the execution details and much more into like what's the strategy, what's the vision, where are we going. And I feel like you sort of need both when you
Yeah.
start a business and like grow a small business together.
It's crazy, and
But yeah.
the when you say like coincidentally, like what is so crazy about it is like you guys weren't just like friends in middle school and high school who did gymnastics together. You were co-captains together.
Hmm.
Like
Yes.
there's something about your friendship that has always been like we're gonna get shit done together.
We are, and it wasn't even that. We also like organized this like French day in high school where it was like the first time ever, and you have to like get it done and execute it, which is so, so true. And I think a lot of that just goes back to like while we have very different personalities and work styles, we're both really achievement oriented, just different paths towards like execution and achievement. And I think it's like worked really well to your point of getting things done.
Yeah. But all and also like, I think you both went to Harvard, you both went to Columbia. Like these are storied institutions that I think sometimes there's a narrative around that like one type of person goes to this school. And in some ways you guys are the example of like where actually like very different types of personalities ended up at the same school.
Yeah, for sure. Very different.
But like
And I think, I mean,
high achievers.
very different person. Yeah, I think that's the commonality. And I think that's what you're going to see I find that some of my favorite beauty founders in the world and successful ones, like, they're not necessarily like, they don't necessarily have beauty background. Like I did, Laura didn't. And a lot of them don't. But what they do have is like drive and achievement, like focus, and a really, really great brand idea.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like so much about this space is figuring out the strategy, the market positioning, where you're differentiating yourself. I mean, in your case, like you guys ended up creating something which we'll talk about that like there wasn't really a market, that you created the whole market. But I think that makes sense. Now, growing up in Westchester for you guys, like you speak so fondly of how you grew up. Your parents were both from Hong Kong?
Yes. So my parents came to New York when they were in high school from Hong Kong. So I like to say I have the best of both worlds growing up as the child of immigrants, but they are very, very assimilated. I mean, they did much of their education here. So while I have ties to Hong Kong and a lot of like the Chinese cultural heritage, I also think that my parents were a little bit more, not wild, but like they were more risk takers. And
Yeah.
like that definitely affected me from my youth, even into now. I mean, my dad was in his 20s when he decided, like, hey, we're going to leave New York. I mean, him and my mom, just the two of them, we're going to leave New York and go to this tiny little island off the coast of Saudi Arabia and like give a career over there a whirl. And that's where I spent my first 2 years of my life.
In
And
Bahrain.
then we lived in London, in Bahrain, and then London, and then finally came back to New York. But like, he's probably my first example of, you know, going off the beaten path when you're building your career.
Yeah. So
But we came back to Westchester.
so
So
there was no
I grew
sense,
up in
but there was
Westchester.
no sense of like, you often hear from children of immigrants that there was like a pressure to take a certain career path or like to have a certain family relation dynamic or whatever. Like it sounds like maybe you didn't get as much of that.
I got less of it, but I definitely still got it. I mean, like, to be clear, they are still strong Chinese parents who, again, going back to achievement is an expectation. And if you're not doing well and working hard, then you can't take the risks. But the way my parents viewed it is you have to have this like strong experience baseline, whether that's like doing well in school, going to a good university, getting a good degree, getting a good resume, having like jobs that like really give you real professional skills that you can leverage then into quote unquote like crazier ideas or more risk taking, more entrepreneurial. Like I'm sure if I told my parents when I was 22 graduating college, like I'm going to start a pubic hair care brand, they would have said maybe go get some real life skills and some savings in your bank account. I didn't do that, right? So I went to a real corporate job. I was in a corporate job for like decades. And then when the time came, I was like, I'm going to start a pubic hair care company. What do you think? My dad's like, actually, this is a good time to take a risk. And I was floored that he said that.
Yeah, that must have really put some wind in the sails. But you were always drawn to beauty, right? Like you did the internship at Bobbi Brown, legend. What drew you to the field?
The funny thing is I never wore makeup until my 20s. But my first job was at Bobby Brown, and I was an intern, and they basically just trotted me around to do like sales demos. But once I got started in beauty, is when I loved sort of the transformative playing power of beauty, meaning it has so much power to make you like feel great. Like you'll look good, you'll feel good, but it's done in a way that's like not taken so serious. It allows for experimentation. It, at the end of the day, you could just try something for $5 and like in that little moment, it's not it's like a frivolous moment, but at the same time, it really affects like your entirety in that moment. Whether it's again a lip gloss to a body lotion to how you're just going to like dye your hair, all of those things, none of them is life changing or harming, and yet it's so impactful.
Yeah.
And like that's what I've loved about beauty since the moment I like tried my first like Bobbi Brown shimmer brick in,
Iconic.
I don't know, the
The
early
shimmer brick,
2000s.
man. I feel like I could still like remember the order of all of the colors. Now what was in terms of like growing up, were your parents into like, were they stylish? Was your mom wearing makeup? Was it something that you like had around the house?
No, not really. My mom's incredibly stylish, was, still is.
Get
I
it,
mean, it was in the
mom.
80s. Right, she's like New York 80s. My mom's clothing was amazing. But she really instilled in me from a young age of like not overdoing it on the beauty and makeup side of like your routine. It helps that my mom is really naturally beautiful. So there was not a lot of makeup needed. So like I would like see her get ready for like an evening out and like be like, like playing around with like the eyeliner and like the lip gloss and stuff like that. But it really didn't play a big part in my life. And again, that's why I didn't wear makeup until my 20s. And I really think I actually really like that because again, that's that like playful aspect of beauty. It's not a requirement. It's never a requirement. It's like an option that you have on the table that you can choose to take.
Totally.
And yeah,
And so what, how old were you again when you guys moved back to Westchester?
5.
5. Okay. So do you remember, you would have like been starting kindergarten or around that age when you got here
Mhm.
back to the US? Do you remember it being any sort of culture shock or anything? I mean, I have no memories from when I'm 5, so do you remember
Yeah.
anything?
Nope. No, I don't remember anything. You probably have to ask my brother because he was a lot older. I think that assimilation was harder for
Yeah.
him. But for me, it was totally fine.
Well, and you're also like a second kid. I feel like, the oldest, we love a birth order, is often shouldering a lot.
Oh yeah, I was just totally in a corner, very happy and like getting lost, and he would like come find me and be like, "You are not even walking in the right direction of home after school. Like you must follow me." And I'd be like, "Okay, sure."
Now, let's talk about your
So
relationship with Kevin because I was so inspired when we did get a chance to talk about this dynamic that you guys had and still have. Because, I look at my son and my daughter, and I look at my friends who have an older girl and like a younger boy or younger girl, whatever. And I feel like there is this weird thing where like the girls seem sort of just infatuated with the idea of having like a real life little doll. Whereas my guy,
mhm.
like now that he can play with her, she's a little over 2, like is sort of interested more, but like really also occasionally will be like, can you please send her back? Like, I'm not interested in this. This is not for me. But that doesn't sound like it was Kevin's experience. So has he, like, do you remember him being like a wild jumping off the couches kind of boy, or was he always just like a sweetie mushball?
Oh my God, no, my brother is like the sweetest, nicest, most patient individual, but he has a playful streak. And I think that's what made me really always want to be around him. But his patience then allowed him to allow me to be around him, and we're 4.5 years apart. Um, and so I think that also really helped. But I have 2 daughters. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they have a wonderful relationship. My 6-year-old is a very nice child, but I really, and they get along great. But I do think having seeing my children and then reflecting back on my relationship with my brother, I do think a lot of the dynamic is driven by the older sibling.
Yes.
So like my older daughter is the sweetest towards her like feisty younger sister. My brother is like so organized and patient and like always willing to play with me when I was young. So I always felt like I had a friend and I could like be with him and I'd want to hang out with him and he would be okay with me hanging out with him and like finding a way to have me feel included. And I just see that and then I like look back at like, my friends now who had older brothers and I even look back when there used to be sleepovers, it was not the same. It was never the same. And now into adulthood, I can see those relationships are not the same as my relationship with my brother. I mean, my brother and I live 2 minutes away from each other. Our children are best friends with each other.
It's so absurdly cute. I
It's
cannot
absurd.
even take it. And guys, I did ask, I do have a photo of Kevin and Lillian from when they were kids. Like it's so sweet and I love it so much. And like, I don't know, I need to like your mom and your dad need to do some sort of master class because you've mentioned in the past as well, like you feel like so much of all of this was fostered by sort of the energy and the vibe in the house that your parents sort of brought to the table, especially your mom, right?
Yeah, especially mama. I mean, I put most of it on my mom, and my dad would also agree that he was traveling a lot, so it was really on my mom. And like, she just encouraged us to like, we are a team. You guys are together. You guys like, it was less about like separating us and like, giving you, what I mean, for better or for worse. It was like, well, it's the two of you. We're on vacation. You're the only ones that are gonna be friends with each other. Like, Lillian, you should be grateful that like Kevin's over there and he's like making a game for you and it'd be like, oh yeah, that's true. And like, be like, I don't know, make Kevin feel really grown up, being like, Kevin, you're old enough, you can actually like take her to over there and like play like you're responsible. Like that gave him that sense of ownership. So like my mom definitely played into reminding each of us why and how it was like really important for us to like maintain that friendship. And like siblings are annoying, but they're like not that annoying. I think it also helped that my mom's an only child.
Oh,
So when we would
interesting.
fight,
Yeah.
she would say, you are lucky you have someone to fight with because I had no one. And now that I'm an adult, I really have no one. And you guys will be adults and you will be each other's
Yeah,
friends.
I mean, you got to shut the fuck up after hearing. Like,
So
there's nothing you can say to that. Like,
that's a tough Chinese mom.
but also, yes, and it's coming from a place of like experience and heart in a way. It's like she's explaining like why. I don't know. I love it actually.
But do children ever listen to their moms though? Like, did I really listen? I don't know.
Something
I
sunk
don't know.
in.
But when my kids are fighting, I do tell them to call their uncle and say, ask them, did you ever fight with my mom? And he'll be like, no. And I'll be like, see, why are you guys fighting with each other? Be like uncle.
Be like uncle. That is so funny. Kevin, can like I have my kids call you also?
Yeah, right?
Kevin is uncle to all. Um, that's amazing. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about briefly is you mentioned how you and Laura, like as you guys were growing up together, you always had sort of different friend groups. And a friend of mine and I have been talking a lot about the evolution of friendships over time and like when you become a parent and like evolving friendships and how all of it looks. Like for me personally, I have always been somebody who's been similar where I've like have these really deep meaningful relationships with people, but it's kind of one-on-one. It's not like the big like all five of us go here on vacation, all five of us do this, all five of us have like a secret handshake. Like as a kid I wasn't like that, and as an adult I'm not like that. And I sometimes am like, is there something wrong with me that I'm like this? Because you see especially on social media, like people all going on vacation together or doing all this stuff together. And I just didn't grow up like that. And so I'm not like this now. Now that I'm in this new chapter of life. So I love hearing about how like different people's sort of the way that you made friendships as a kid sort of translated into how you are today. And I think in part because you are super close with your family, maybe you don't need, or maybe there isn't that like sense of urgency of having the like group. I don't know.
Well, first of all, that's so validating to hear from you because I'm exactly like that. I have like a pod, a pod, a pod. But like, I'm not one of those people at my wedding where it was like 12 bridesmaids deep.
Yeah,
Like, I had my three, and one of them was my sister-in-law. The two were these two other best friends. Like, oh, Laura was one of them.
obviously.
Um, obviously. Um, so that's interesting though, because I never put that connection together of like maybe my closeness with my family and my brother is one of the reasons why I haven't had to have these like wide groups of friends that are like, your 12 ride or dies. Like I have my like five,
Yeah.
and
But
they're
like
not even in the same group.
exactly, they're not all friends. It's not like you're part of like a
No,
team. It's more like
exactly.
you've like connected with somebody because you share something and
Yeah.
that's a meaningful connection and that person fills a role in your life in some way, but it's not like
Hmm.
every one group is everything and fills all of your needs.
Exactly. And I also feel like, you know, that's been me forever, and it sounds like that was you for forever. But also, as people enter different phases of life, I do wonder as you get stretched thinner, like more responsibilities, like children, work, etc., if people tend towards our friendship model more, right? Like, is it harder then to have like this one massive group of like 20 and like that's everything and like it's all because versus like these deeper, fewer?
Well, I think
Do people curate over time? I don't
yeah,
know.
well, yes, and I think some people are like, okay, I'm choosing these four friends or whatever to do life with. Like, we're raising our kids together, similar to like you and Kevin. Like, we're going to raise our kids together. We're going to go on vacations together. We're going to see each other weekly as families for dinner. Like, we're doing life together. And maybe it's not 20, maybe it's five, but it's like a group. So I think
Mm-hmm.
if that is something that was familiar to people in youth, they do bring it forward in some way. And they're making like, a real deep commitment to each other to be like we're doing all of this stuff together in a way that like I don't have it's a lot of work. So you have to be really sure about those four or five people and that's like the right
Yeah, also.
configuration of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking a lot
For
about that
sure.
lately. But okay, so you guys you and Laura, you sort of go your different paths professionally and then you are finishing business school, right? When the idea comes.
No, I
Or when
actually
was it?
graduated business school. I went to L'Oreal, worked in
Okay.
Maybelline. I was there for over 3 years. Laura's in management consulting. She, I've never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I never even thought I'd be a good one. She, on the other hand, did always want to put her mark on something and create something. She just never had the idea until she had the idea of like, hey, what if I want to grow out my pubic hair? I don't want to get waxed all the time. Like, there should be a way that my body hair still feels cared for. And she came to me with that idea, and I said that was a horrible idea.
You're like, why are you
Like,
talking about
one,
pubic hair with me?
well, yeah, and I was just like, you want to tell people that they have to add an additional step to their beauty routine when they're already so busy, they have no space in their bathroom, they don't have a dollar extra to spend. Like they don't even understand the need of like what this would do. Like that's just such a hurdle to educate a consumer on. And like granted, I was a little jaded. I was coming from Maybelline mascara where there are only so many ways you can tell, someone that their eyelashes look better when they're darker and longer.
Right.
So I might have been a little jaded. Um, but Laura is one of the great qualities of Laura is persistence, and you need that as an entrepreneur. And so she really didn't let this go. She's like, I'm just going to continue. Like, got a first formulation down for fur oil, passed it to me at her holiday party. And she's like, you just have to try this oil I made. Like she'd found a lab, she'd briefed it in, got a first sample, gave it to me at the holiday party that she had. And I tried it. And as a product person who's been just, just love trying things, I thought it was a beautiful oil and it made my hair soft. It made my skin soft. It just felt really nice. And I was like, this is a beautiful product. Do we still need a pubic hair oil? I don't really know, but like I was pretty convinced at that point, also because then I was starting to like float the idea to my parents, to my husband, or my fiance at that time, just general people. And like the reactions I were getting was one, my dad's like, now is the time to take the risk. You don't have kids yet. My husband's like, go for it. It sounds insane, but like insane could be good. And like three, when I would talk to different people, they would be like, that's disgusting. That's horrible. It makes no sense. Or that's an amazing idea. How has no one ever thought about it? And as a marketer, to me, I was like, wow, people have really strong reactions to this. Like, I love a polarized response more than a tepid
Yeah.
response because at least there's something there. And I was like, well, the fact that like people are just like, this is memorable. This is like potentially a memorable concept. Like, I think we can do it. And so quit my job. And at that point, we had nothing. We had like a bottle. We had no name. We had no product name. We had no nothing. All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it. So this is in 2015, um, and like started putting it all together to get it out in 2016.
And when you got it out in like I know that now it's such a widely beloved product and used product of estheticians and hair removal specialists. Like, was that always part of your plan?
It was surprising. We didn't know what the estheticians were going to think of this, right? Because at the end of the day, FIR stands for taking care of your body hair, whether you decide to keep it or get rid of it. And you know, a lot of hesitation and concern was like, well, estheticians think that we're trying to like go against their business. But once we launched, it was like immediately apparent by these pros and these estheticians. They were like, this is a great product. Like, you guys are talking about body hair and like taking care of it after or when clients are not with us. And you're also making it like an elevated beauty category. Because for them, you know, until fur really started taking body hair to the mainstream, they too were feeling like talking about their profession was like a joke or very hush hush, like saying Brazilian, like saying bush, like all of those things, like there was still shame around it. And what we really wanted to do was to destigmatize that shame around talking about pubic hair and body hair in whatever capacity, you know, and care method you want. And they really embraced it. They're like, look, you're elevating our ability to talk about how you can take care of your body hair. You're elevating like the products that we can use in service because your stuff looks great. And like our clients have like better skin, less pain in the waxing. Like, this is great. So in 2016, some of our first retailers were waxing estheticians and waxing salons. And that was a really, really nice finding from the start. And once we found that, we're like, let's cultivate it.
Amazing. Because now you have fur professionals, like, as sort of like this sort of specific
Yeah.
following. Now, growing up, what was your sort of relationship like to body stuff? Like, what was the conversation in your house, if any?
Non-existent. I mean, like, uh, well, let's see, body stuff.
Like anything
No,
from getting your period to pubic hair to shaving your legs. Like, where were your resources? What conversations were happening, if any?
there were no resources, no conversations. And again, my mom's like pretty open for a Chinese person, but like not really. Uh, yeah, and then also I think a part of it is I don't have a lot of body hair. My mom does not, so I don't even think it was like a thought that crossed her mind that like
Right.
I might have or I might need to at least have these conversations with Lillian about like, you know, Western cultural norms of like shaving your legs, shaving your underarms, like what that means, because in her cultural beauty upbringing, it didn't exist. And so she didn't realize that. So my first experience with like removing body
Yeah.
hair was in eighth grade. I was at like this overnight camping trip with, you know, like 30 girls from my school. And like one of my friends pulls me over and goes, you know, I brought my mustache bleaching kit. We should bleach our mustaches together. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, but let's do it. So I learned that one has to take care of your mustache. And then I learned that they all brought their like leg shaving razors and stuff, and like watched people shave their legs, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess I have to do that too. And yeah, eighth grade was a real formative experience for
Yeah.
my body
You
hair
clearly,
in all the wrong
yeah,
ways.
you clearly never went to Jewish summer camp because let me tell you, a real hot topic of conversation is body hair.
Oh, I
Yeah.
bet,
We're a
and
hairy
like,
people in general. Like we just are.
well, and just, and it's like when you're away, but like mine was like that little snippet of that moment. It's something about like you have to be with your girlfriends, you have to be
Yeah.
away. It has to be
Yeah.
like, there's something there that like unlocks the body hair
Yeah.
conversation.
I mean, I remember like my dad is a pediatrician. And so I remember my sister and I used to like figure out ways to rankle him and like see if we could ask him something that would make him uncomfortable. So, and my sister's older than me. So she would really try and push the envelope. And she asked him once, like, Dad, what's pubic hair for? And he was like, well, an evolutionary, for it was used to protect us before people had underwear. It's an evolutionary construct. And she's like, so we don't need it anymore because we wear underwear. He was like, well, I guess strictly speaking, I guess we don't. And she was like, okay, so I can just shave all of mine off. Like, just like really trying. And he's like, like she totally just got him in a corner, right?
Exactly, got him into a
She totally
corner.
like
How
backed
did
him
he get
into,
himself
yeah.
out?
And then I remember my mom at some point when I like wanted to shave my legs, like saying, well, like you don't go above the knee because then, that hair isn't as dark and you don't want it to like all the sort of rules that kind of now like people are now shaving their faces instead of bleaching. Like it changes so much, but for me, I think my big sister, which you did not have, I don't think you and Kevin were talking about pubic hair, but like my sister was the one where I was like spying on her trying to figure out what was up.
Oh, interesting. That, yes, I imagine that's going to happen with my daughters.
Oh yeah, they're gonna, I mean, hopefully they'll share info, but at the same time it is very funny to think about like the misinformation that kids share with each other. And you're like, I don't really think that is how that works. But thanks for your
Oh, yeah.
feedback on that.
Well, I look forward to hearing their conversations about pubic hair and the misinformation they share when they get to that
Well,
age.
I was
And hopefully
well,
not.
but well, for you, like, how do they? What do they think? For you have two girls. What do you think, or what do they think for products are?
Really fun things that they make potions with all the time when they take a
It's an
bath.
expensive
But
potion,
they also
girls.
know, exactly. Well, I get it at cost. But yes, but you're right, girls, stop wasting the product in the bath. They know it's a body care brand. They know it takes care of skin and hair, and they know that pubic hair is a thing that exists on adult bodies,
It's pretty good.
and for has products for pubic hair. But they don't like, it's not like, to them it's like body
Yeah,
care with an element of pubic, where the reality is fur became famous for pubic
yeah.
hair, but really thinking about body hair and how that fits into your greater body care routine.
Okay, so
Yeah,
they're pretty leveled up. I mean, also when I lived in Hong Kong, I was on a swim team. I think I told you this, and I was the only Guilo on the team. And so, you're like in the locker room and changing. And let me tell you, it was a real National Geographic situation in there for everybody. Everybody was real fascinated about what was going on underneath the swimming suit.
yes, I am sure that was variety, that was new variety
It was.
that they had not.
It was
Yes,
a real
yes,
bonding
but that's,
experience.
and that's variety. Like, I'm 100% Chinese. My kids are half Italian, half Chinese. It's different. I can already tell you in their little baby hairs on their legs. I'm like, look, I'm going to be having this body hair conversation with my girls way earlier, or it didn't even exist with me, but like clearly soon.
Yeah, they're going to have questions.
And they're going to have so many questions like, why are you different than me? Like, what do I do with this? Blah, 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 blah. Someone made fun of me. Someone didn't. My friend says you're supposed to not shave above the knee. I don't know. It's going to come in, and these are all things as a mom I've never tackled, but yet, yes, fur as a brand, we do try
I
to
think you're going
talk
to be
about.
better equipped than most on this one. Now, let's talk about the half Italian piece of this. When does your now husband enter the picture?
At the end of business school, so similar to, oh no, I hadn't started fur yet. At the end of business school, we got introduced from a mutual friend.
And what was it about this guy that you said, this could be interesting?
Oh, I'm going to blow up his spot. He wasn't interesting. I actually met him while I was in business school, and I forgot I'd met him.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I'm like that's I mean that's so I forgot I met him, and then 6 months later he comes up to me and he's like, "How are you doing, Lillian?" And I'm
Who the
like,
fuck are
"I'm
you?
so sorry, I don't know who you are." Yeah, but
Lillian, that is such a flex. Like, I have always wanted to be that girl my whole life who, like, because I remember pretty much everybody, but like a guy that meets you, clocks you as interested, and you don't remember him, like he probably was like, "Marry me now. You're the coolest person I've ever met." Like, that is a flex.
I don't know if
Oh
that was
yeah.
the flex I was going for, but yes, I also, but honestly, I have like the worst memory, so like it's also not that he's not memorable. I mean, but what did I mean, he's, um, well, he's Italian, so he has a very nice Italian accent. It sounds
He's
so
Italian
superficial.
Italian?
Oh yeah, like from Italy. Like we spend every summer in Italy. Um,
That's a
the kids
real
speak
cha-ching
Italian.
situation.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
But more importantly is really I his his work ethic, his patience, his willingness to figure things out. He's like a real problem solver, and I'm a real problem creator. So it works really nicely together.
And I
Um,
think it's you said once that he and Laura are actually similar personalities. Is that right?
yes, yes, very much so. So big picture, where are we going? What are we doing? What are our goals? Let's have feelings. I don't have lots of
Uh,
feelings. They have lots of feelings. Let's have feelings. Let's like feel great together. Again, problem fixer. Like, you know, eventually I lose my patience and like don't want to bang my head against a problem anymore. Back to Laura's persistence, Cristiano's persistence, like very, really looking to problem solve or find a new way, a new creative way to problem solve. Again, I'm like, what are the next 3 steps? But you take me off of those 3 steps, I'm going to be lost. They don't care about the 3 steps. They just care about the like last stop, and they will find that path there. And it might be a crazy path, but like they're very comfortable in that.
Now, do
Um,
you argue with them about the same type of stuff? Like, is it the similar tensions, or like, is it completely different stuff? Because there's like the subject matter stuff of like the logistics of running your life. Obviously, different with Cristiano than it is with Laura of running a business.
yeah,
But like,
yeah.
is somebody punctual? Somebody not super interested in being punctual? Is somebody want to be like? Is somebody more stubborn? Like, where are the tensions for your relationship with your domestic partner?
I think with Laura and I, it's clear delineation of roles and responsibilities at the job because it's like your job.
Yeah.
So professionally, I know like she has to get that done and she'll get it done, right? And then whereas with your domestic partner, and like, I don't know what this says about balancing as a working mom and like family life and personal responsibilities, but with that it's different. Like there are certain elements that are clearly delineated like personally, and I just know he'll handle it, but other ones where I'm like it's a fuzzier balance, and so that's where those conflicts arise. But so I think with Laura and I, we've structured it in a way that it's pretty clear cut, and so when we have conflict, it's usually about like greater decisions, and it's not like conflict in a negative way. It's just more like I don't
Normal,
think
yeah.
we should be activating on that because like the amount of time it's going to take for the team and the risk on the money is like too risky for XYZ. So it's like those kinds of disagreements as opposed to like you did not send that email
Yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah.
person and you said you were going to. Whereas I think domestically that's like a lot more common. It's like you said you were going to buy the groceries on your way back from the train and you did not. Like now I have to go do it tomorrow for some reason. Maybe because it's like you have to flip back and forth a lot when you're
Yeah.
like doing the personal domestic stuff. Like those things are going to get lost a lot more in the communication versus like me and Laura,
Yeah.
thankfully.
And when you're running a life, does he work outside of the home? Yes, right?
Much
Yeah.
more. Yes,
So
he
it's
does.
like
He travels a lot.
so That creates a whole thing too, right? Is like,
Well, then I mean, it's yes and no. Like I'm so much, sometimes it's just easier when I know he's not around because then you know
yeah,
100% of it is on you. And then you just do it the way you can do it and you just execute. The hardest thing is when you think someone else is going to do it and then they don't, and then you have to jump in last minute and either fix it or do it in a lot less time. And I think that's really hard.
nothing
And
infuriates me
so
more than that.
right, right. And so I laugh, but I'm like, look, I know you're gone for a week, but like, it's horrible, but not so
It's
horrible.
easier. Yeah, it's sometimes easier. Well, it's also just like you don't have to consider somebody else's feelings on anything. It's just like I'm making the decision about what's for dinner. I don't care what you ate for lunch. I'm making the decision about like, what our plans are this weekend. But I don't have to consider like you just there's one less person you have to think about.
Totally. I mean, when he's not around, it's like girl dinner for all three of
Yeah,
us.
sounds great. Also, what's his contribution in the kitchen? Because when you gave me your sample menu, I feel like you were the Chinese influence was dominating the menu. Maybe there was a bolognese night in there.
There was a pot there. No, he's really good at cleaning dishes. He's really good at doing
Everybody has their
dishes. He
strengths.
does all the dishes and I do all the cooking.
That's a great division of
So
labor.
that's,
I
yeah.
would love that.
But he does not cook. A lot of people are like, oh, he's Italian. Does he cook? I learned all my Italian cooking from his mom, who's a fantastic cook. And that's how I learned how to cook Italian food. And Chinese is from my
Did
mom.
you guys have any like have there been any sort of like cultural differences in terms of how you come at parenting?
Um, yes. I don't know if it's cultural. I think it's very much, no, it's okay, it's cultural. I think both being growing up in the achievement focused culture of New York plus Chinese, with how involved parenting is, like my expectation was like, I will be very deeply involved because that's how I grew up. Isn't that how you're supposed to raise kids to maximize their opportunity? My husband grew up in South Italy and resources are scarce over there. And there's just like, good luck making it to school and back. We'll see you when you're back. And if you did your homework, you did it. If you didn't, you didn't. Like your parents don't even know if you have homework. And there's no such thing as an after school activity or an extracurricular. Um, and so that, I think, it hasn't been so much of a difference for me because we operate the family like how I expected to. But my husband has learned this and he's like, okay, like this makes sense to
Yeah.
me, but it's very different from his upbringing. And so sometimes it's just like to him, like shocking how busy our weekends are. He's like, shouldn't we just like have a relaxing weekend where like, and I'm like, yeah, we'll have that on like President's Weekend or whatever. And so it's normal to me. It's shocking to him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Um, because yeah, especially southern Italy does have a little bit more of a reputation. And my southern Italian friends, please don't come for me, but like there isn't a deep sense of urgency to getting things done. Or in general, like my European friends, when I was doing my master's and stuff, like most of them didn't have internships in college. Like their work experience started for the first time, maybe after a master's degree, like just a very different pace and expectation.
100%. And we go back to Italy every summer. The first 1 week, he has the best time. By the second week, he is so sick of the pace of life. And there's a reason why he's the only person from his entire extended family, even, to leave South Italy. Like, it is really nice over there, but he's very different.
He's driven. He wants to do and achieve. Now, okay, where you guys went on Shark Tank last year? Was that last year or the year before?
Oh my gosh, no, it
When
was
was
so
it?
long ago. We went on in 2020.
Okay, 2020. I was like watching the old clip and maybe it just got uploaded later or something. But um what was that experience like behind the scenes? Like I'm not a regular watcher of Shark Tank, but I do find it a very interesting platform. Obviously, I know you mentioned eventually like you decided not to pursue the deal, but what's the
Mhm.
like preparation for something like that? Who decides you're going to bring sheep on stage with you? Like what was that process like?
So it's like a decently long process. I think it was about a year, and you do talk. There's a variety of like producing teams, and so you have like a producing team dedicated to you who work on what you're going to say, what's your angle, what's going to make for good TV. So like
Right.
there is prep work as like what's going to make for good for TV. However, when you are on the day of filming, you walk in and they filmed us for like in one take for like an hour. The questions and the dynamic of the like meeting with the sharks actually was very similar to how a typical investor meeting would go, and like the questions were very like business operations, very typical. The only thing that's different is one, they're seated, they have a pen and paper, they can do like calculations on their piece of paper. Laura and I are just standing there. We can't do that. So we're like trying to do things in our head, and we can't really talk to each other or even like look at each other because, one thing we're very conscious of is like they're going to take this 1 hour of footage and they'll cut it down into what makes for best TV. So like you don't want to look clueless, you don't want to look at each other, you don't want to like try to like calculate things in your hand, like you know. Um, but the way it ran was like a very traditional meeting, and then of course they cut the best bits for the episode. But honestly, like being able to say, actually shout pubic hair on ABC on a Friday night at like 9 p.m. was huge because, going back to that earlier point of aestheticians being like, oh, like we used to like never talk about like what we do. Like, here we are being like, let's talk about pubic hair. And they're like, okay, let's talk about pubic hair. I mean, the sharks at the beginning were sort of thought we were a little bit of a
Yeah.
joke. And then we started to get into like
Yeah.
the meatier questions. They're like, well, how much revenue do you have? Like all of them, they're like, wait, like this is like a real business. And that's when it starts getting them to think, and hopefully getting, more people, the audience, to think like, okay, like body hair is not a joke. It is actually part of the greater beauty conversation. Like, is there something there as a category?
And they decided there was.
They did decide there was, and hopefully every day estheticians and consumers, help us build it.
I love a pretty bottle and a pretty packaging, and you guys really crushed that. It like just looks nice. It's like, for me, I know it's such a stupid thing. I joke all the time that like CeraVe and Cetaphil, if they could just not look ugly, I would be so happy with buying their products for the rest
I
of my
mean,
life.
to your point, Shimmer Brick, Bobbi Brown's Shimmer Brick, like the way something looks and feels really matters. And like same thing with fur oil. When we launched it, everyone's like, don't launch it in, like beauty experts were like, don't launch it in that spherical shape because it doesn't look as big as it actually is. But Laura and I were like, but the way it feels when you hold it, the way it's like, it looks different than anything else. Like they're like, yeah, there's a reason no one else used it. And we're like, no, and like that now signature look is obviously there are more brands that are going in the orb shape. It's just like it matters how beauty products look and feel.
Especially beauty products. Yeah.
Exactly. Again, it goes back to that like playful
Yeah.
element. Like it's just this sensorial moment. You're gonna hold it, you want to play with it, you want it to look good, you want it to feel good, you want to like feel like it's a little treasure,
Yeah. No.
but it didn't cost an arm and a leg.
It looks really beautiful. Now, when you think about sort of your entrepreneurial streak, our reluctant entrepreneur that you are, do you think you could ever see yourself doing it again, or are you, this is the baby? And because it's so hard,
Oof,
right? It's so sweaty. It's a real grind.
it's a real grind. I could do it again. I'm far from done with fur though. So by the time I'm done with fur, like, let's see how the energy feels.
Yeah.
I always, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, like my biggest advice is like being an entrepreneur is like climbing a mountain, but you have no idea where the actual top is.
Right.
And at any moment, you can fall off and die. Do you want to do it?
You
Because
want to
at
do it?
any moment, the company can fail. At any moment, the company can fail. And I have no idea when I'll feel like the fur journey is complete. So every day we are,
What fresh hell is this today? I
climbing.
mean, we're climbing.
Well, yeah, and it's no, it could be exactly. It could be like a rinse and repeat of what we did 5 days ago. Like, okay, but I'm still doing it, or it's gonna be like a new adventure today, or a new channel we're gonna try. Like, I don't know. We don't know, and every day will be different, and you don't know if that next thing you're gonna do is the thing that will propel you to the top
Yeah,
or knock you off the
the
mountain.
mystery top. Now let's talk
Hmm.
about trends in pubic hair. What are we seeing now? Obviously, when we first initially booked this, it was a while ago. There was Kim and the Merkin underwear that brought pubic hair back into the discussion. I want to know, you said she was late to the party, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the time since we've launched it, people have been like, "Oh, is the bushes back?" Blah blah blah. Like, yes, I think there was a moment where the conversation and depiction of the bush was a lot more in your face. But at the end of the day, I actually don't think hair removal actually declined. I think it was used as a lot more, again, a great conversation piece to be had to make people more comfortable to go get waxed or to shave or to grow it out. But at the end of the day, like, people saying the bush is back because Kim Kardashian put out this bush merkin, I think is pretty inaccurate.
Yeah, like according to what you're
Like,
seeing, the Brazilian
yes,
or like the
is very in.
still in.
Oh, the Brazilian is so in. The Brazilian might have had a dip, but I can tell you we've been polling our pros, and like the Brazilian, and at the end of the day, like, if you think about consumers, like we talk to our consumers, like in any given month, the Brazilian may be in, and then in the winter, the Brazilian may be out. There's no just like one uniform, like the Brazilian is in, the Brazilian is out. 90% of people are not going to get lasered. Like, but from what I've heard from the pros, from the estheticians, like their Brazilian services, like the amount that they're doing, continue to rise. So I believe Bush is definitely not back, nor is it gone.
Yeah. The bush is just floating in the ether. And to be clear, for people who have not purchased fur products are also for people who do Brazilians because it takes care of like ingrown hairs and regrowth as well, right?
Exactly. And it makes it easier because when your hair is healthier, when it grows back, you go to get waxed, it's easier for the hair to come out in one fell swoop because it doesn't break. And your esthetician doesn't have to go back and forth over and over with the hot wax, which is like another reason why Estes love it. It makes their clients happier. Um,
Esties. So
but
cute.
your Estes, yes.
Esties. Estie besties. Now, and I guess we'll wrap up on this. You're such a good hang. But one of my questions for you is your daughters are 9 and 6, right? Did I make that? Okay,
Yep.
9 and 6. So are they starting to get, especially the 9-year-old, like beauty curious? I feel like this generation of kids is growing up with so much more exposure to beauty. Like, I think about mine was like the lip smackers, chapstick. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was a really big deal. And then, like, really hideous, like palettes of like pastel blues and pinks where you use the little swabby thing to put it over your eye. But like the sophistication of how kids are engaging with beauty now, like what's that conversation like with those ages in your house? Has that come up yet?
So in my house, we have conversations, but I think that's because they've grown up around me formulating and testing and going to Ulta and Sephora, always shopping, and like hearing my commentary of like, this is not a good ingredient, like blah blah blah, got in trouble for this. Like, as a result, they've been inundated with too much information that they find beauty extremely boring.
Interesting.
So it's like overexposure.
Yeah.
So I think I'm really lucky in that sense because it's like if mom does it, it must be deeply uncool. So if you don't want your children spending all their money in Sephora, just like,
start
I don't
start a
know, like
beauty
talk
brand.
about beauty all the time. Yes. And like, uh, I think it's, yeah, but their peers the 9-year-old and above, like their peers, for example, definitely like goodie bags or like the Summer Fridays lip
Jesus
glosses. And
Christ.
my daughter's like, here, mom, I don't use this. Like, I like my Aquaphor. I'm like, thank you. She's like, I don't wear tinted colors. I was like, I agree. But like, yes. So the 9-year-olds and above, I definitely think it starts at 9 years old. It is a very real conversation and a very real dynamic that I think is something that we're all just going. I mean, eventually I'm going to have this guy. She's going to want to go to Sephora at some point, and we'll see what I
We'll see what you
do.
do.
I mean, I'll just.
Wait, I did. There's actually one last question. I lied. Laura is she recently had a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously you're at a different stage in your parenting that she now is being thrown back into. She has another child, right?
Oh, she has 3.
She has 3. Okay.
So,
how do you guys prepare for that in this world where you're both so hands-on and doing so much? Is she like sending text messages from the hospital, or is it like you're not allowed to work for a couple weeks, you need to chill out, I got it? Like, how do you guys navigate that?
I think it's whoever's the one that's like got too much on their plate. It's led by that person. So in this case, I'm like, do you want to be in meetings? Do you want to funnel everything through me? Like whatever. Reliance on the team now. Our team is awesome. So like there's that. Every time we've hit a different like personal challenge or like just, a balancing, which there's no balance, by the way. Just one person is now imbalanced. So like how can the rest of the team help balance it? It's really led by that person, right? Like I said, my husband travels a lot. So like there are times in which my husband's like really gone and like, I'm like, I can't come to the office for the next 2 weeks or whatever. It's really that open communication. And like, we play it by ear on each moment, each kid, each whatever challenge that has come up, led by the person who is facing the challenge.
I love that. And I assume that trickles down to, I don't know what sort of the broad age ranges of your employees, but it's not a huge team, so I guess you're kind of always doing that calculus among what's going on in the team, right?
For sure. But also like we do have a formal like 4-month parental leave policy for the team. But like Laura and I are different.
No, yeah.
So yes, exactly. I would never expect or want them to have to drive, like any specific leave policy, because that can be really hard for, a team member. It's different when it's me and Laura to be like, you have to tell me if you don't want to be involved, because then
the power dynamic's like different. Yeah,
for sure. Like that's just not right.
You hear that, employers? Yeah. Well, this has been such a treat. I'm gonna cross my fingers and toes to all of the technological gods that today we got it right.
I think we will. We'll get it done.
Get it done.
It's gonna happen this
time. Please send my best to Kevin. I'm like, in this life, who do I want to talk to more, Kevin or your mom? And like, no offense to your dad, but like they're both pretty high up on my list of people I would love to. I always want to reverse engineer a good thing, and I feel like there's a lot of special sauce there. So please send them our best.
Well, if you want to give my mom a shout out, that she should write a book, because we've been telling her that for so long.
Mom, write a book.
She should write a parenting book.
I would love to hear her POV. I would read it. All right, this has been so much fun. Thank you, Lillian. Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at mutha, mutha.life, for a daily look at all things mother. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mother Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.